Hello, I'm Wendy Wilson, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Realizing Potential. Today's interview is going to be a little bittersweet today. I have a gentleman who has just made outstanding contributions here to Albany State University, and he is about to make his transition to a state that I know will take advantage of him in terms of all that he offers. He's committed servicemen, the list goes on and on and on, and so I will know that I will introduce to only a small group and then make familiar to a large mass of individuals. Major Thomas Smith. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. That was hard for me to get out. You've had such a huge impact on Albany State. How many years has it been since you've been here?
This is a 3-year assignment for me.
3-year?
Yes.
Okay. So we knew already that we weren't going to have you forever.
Yeah, most people did, but some people thought I was going to be here a little longer than 3 years.
Yeah.
But it's an active duty assignment,
Okay.
and it's only a 3-year assignment.
Okay. Okay.
And in some cases you get to extend, in some cases you don't.
Okay, okay. I won't ask you if you had a choice in that matter this time. We will be appreciative of what you've done, and you've done a considerable amount. You are responsible for our ROTC program here at Albany State University, and then that works in concert with our sister institution, Fort Valley. Tell the viewers a little bit what that entails, what that encompasses, and what your responsibilities involve.
Yes, so we're the partner program, and Fort Valley is the host program.
Okay.
And in the Army, we have 273 host programs throughout the military. So the Army recognizes both, but we're aligned with Fort Valley, and we're responsible for commissioning 15 to 18 cadets per year between both programs. And my role here is just to get as many qualified cadets that meet our criteria and get them, we find the ones that fit our 7 Army values: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage.
Okay.
And because they may not necessarily come in physical fitness, but if they're close and we can build on what they already have, then we try to get them in the program and commission them as second lieutenants in the Army.
Okay, okay. So they'll graduate from Albany State or Fort Valley with a earned college degree and then ranking within the Army. Yes,
and they'll commission what we call a OML, Order of Merit list, and they will, depending on how their GPA, this is comprised of their GPA, physical fitness ability, how well they do out at Fort Knox. During their junior year, they have to go out there for 30 days and compete against all other cadets throughout the universities and programs, and then they compete with leadership skills and take different tests, land navigation, physical fitness, and written land navigation, and various other tests, medical. They get tested on their medical ability to be able to save lives, and then they compute all these scores and come back with, and their ranking within the universities.
I see. Now, once they graduate, then they will then begin their military career. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So they'll graduate, and we have to make sure that they are graduating. We tell them that we want them to graduate with at least a 3.0 or higher GPA, and that's our standard. But in the Army standard is at a minimum 2.5. Okay. But we have very few, if any, 2.5 graduates this year. Most of them are 2.8 or higher. Outstanding.
And this year is very unique. I think it aligns with as you make your departure or make your transition from Albany State University, and again, a testament to your contributions. This will be unique in the number of cadets. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes, we're very excited about that because this is the most cadets that we've commissioned in the history of Albany State. And we had 12 at one time. One of them migrated to another year group to December. Okay. And it's just awesome to have this many cadets, and they're a very tight-knit group. They're very cohesive and take care of each other. They bicker a lot, you know, like sisters and brothers, but at the end of the day, they get the mission complete and get the job done.
Outstanding. And are we allowed to share the number this year?
Yes, we're commissioning 10.
10.
Yes.
Outstanding.
Yes, and one of the other things that's really unique about this graduation is that we have a lot of females, and not only is that nice, it's, we have 3 females that are going to commission in combat arms. And yes, you know, in the past years, females have not been allowed to go into the combat arms branches.
Sure.
And not only that, some of the females,
your right hand.
only recently in 2015, I think it is, that where females were able to actually have leadership roles within those combat arms and actually go into the infantry branch, armor, and field artillery. And we have 3 this year, 3 females that will be going into the field artillery branches.
That's outstanding.
Yes.
I've always had that's the highlight of commencement. It's a glorious occasion anyway under normal circumstances, but that segment where you commission the officers,
yes,
and the energy is very contagious within the room. And it's just such a
yes,
a pride-filled moment. It's as if you're walking out there with the family and then the officers yourself, because
correct.
You can see the level of commitment and hard work,
yes,
that has gone into this effort. And so not only, again, did they earn a college degree, but again, pursue the necessary preparation to then yield officers' ranks.
That's correct. And they really do. They get up every morning from Monday through Friday, and some Saturdays, you know, we're at the ROTC building at 5:30 every morning, or at Hyper Gym doing some type of physical fitness. And, you know, we may see some other groups out there every now and then. We see the basketball team or football team, you know, but that's seasonal, you know, and the cadets are out there all the time.
Wow.
And we really take pride in our cadets because we want them to be able to go off and be successful in whatever they do.
Sure.
And I know that this group, and not only this group, but all of our cadets are well prepared for the military and life itself.
Great. That's great. I'd be remiss if we didn't discuss your career path. And so, of course, you had you still have a history, or you were still in the Army,
yes,
if you will.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go back. What was your interest in going to the military? What was that catalyst moment that you had, and you said, I want to make this a career?
Right. So prior to joining the Army, I completed 8 years in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And I had joined the reserves at the time, and then I just wanted something a little bit more concrete. I've always been a career-minded person. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, you know, I'll go back in the Marine Corps for 3 years. But at the time, the Marine Corps was just kind of going a little slow with the recruiting process. And I was ready to go right then. I didn't want to get cold feet and change my mind. So the Army, they were talking and kind of in my ear, you know. And at the time, you know, when you're a Marine, it's like, if you're not a Marine, you know, it's no other branch for you.
Right.
So I was talking to a recruiter, and she had a lot to, you know, to offer me as far as with the military package. So I said, yeah, that sounds good. And she said that she could have me in the military within 2 weeks, and that was even better. So I raised my right hand, and you know, things just continued to get better. I had no intentions of being in the military this long, the first time or the second time when I joined the Army. But after I made my rank of sergeant, I began to, you know, take it more serious because I had a degree already. So I said, well, I may as well take advantage of my degree.
Sure. Because
to be an officer, you have to have a 4-year degree. So I was like, hey, it's a perfect opportunity. My supervisor saw some goodness that I was bringing to the team and recommended that I go to officer candidate school.
Okay.
And once I made lieutenant, I knew that at that point I was a career soldier.
Very good, very good. And so have you always been, once you then completed that instruction or that level of training, is that when you went into the ROTC phase, or did you?
Oh no, so I didn't go into ROTC. Is not I guess a typical streamlined job that we would do. We use this as what we call a broadening assignment.
Okay.
It's not in your normal line of duty, but somebody has to do it, and it's an active duty slot. So when it came available, after you complete, at each level you have a certain amount of jobs that you have to complete as a lieutenant, and then when you make captain, you have to to be competitive,
Sure.
you have to complete your company command, and that's very crucial during those developmental, key developmental positions that you do well, because you're being evaluated a little bit harder under the microscope, if you will, during those key developmental times. And I've been blessed to get all excellence during my key developmental assignments. So I thank God and my leadership that has mentored me throughout my career.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. You and I have had several conversations and just about the changes and the growth that has occurred here at Albany State, and higher ed, the landscape in general has changed probably significantly over the last probably 8 to 10 years. And one of the things that we often share is a story about just the challenge of having access to resources.
Yes.
And so you shared some of the challenges that you've had over time, and I look back, and even during that conversation that we had, and reflecting upon it now, it never, there was never any sign that you were challenged with that.
Yes.
Always top-notch, stellar delivery and execution of your programs, and certainly the caliber of students that you produce, and then even graduates, then commissioned officers.
Yes.
And so that's a testament to you and just the quality that you want to bring to your role. You certainly have demonstrated that.
Well, thank you.
Yes, yes. And so now we're moving on. You mentioned you're going back home, North Carolina.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So I had the opportunity. I was talking to my branch manager. We all in the military have a branch manager that we try to get assignments. We request each time that we are move after that assignment is complete. They give us a preference list. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of preferences this year. Overseas, you name it, Hawaii, Italy, anywhere that we have a base.
Yes.
It was a kind of an option for me because some of the jobs I've already completed. And I choose to go back home. My mother's getting a little older, and I want to be close to her. And I have 5 sisters and 2 brothers back home.
Okay. And
I come from a military family, so being away a large portion of my military career, I would like to go spend my last years home at back in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of joking with my branch manager, and I said, well, it'd be nice if you could get me back in Raleigh. And I was just hoping to get Fort Bragg, to be honest with you, because that's an hour, maybe 15 minutes from home. And he said, well, I have an assignment for you, back in Raleigh. And I said, we looked into it, and I took advantage of it. And yeah. So I currently have 28 years in right now, and I'll do 3 or 4 more years, and then I'll retire.
You'll retire.
Yes.
Okay. You made me think we have not because we ask not. So you asked for it, and there it came to fruition. That's amazing. So life after military, have you thought that through? Yeah,
a little bit. Like? Yeah, not really. I have been thinking a few options. I really want to maybe get into real estate or something like that.
Oh, okay.
My wife is always mentioning working as a school teacher. I don't know on the high school level, but I don't know if I'm ready for the high school, and I don't know if the high school is ready for me. So I've been thinking. They have a program in the military called Troops to Teachers, mm-hmm. And I don't want to close any doors, so there's a lot of options out there, and just kind of keeping everything open at this particular time.
Sure. Well, you certainly have a extensive expertise and diverse skill set, and I'm sure you could enter into several different fields, but even in education, and when you said that, I was wondering, I was like, the instruction and the post-secondary education,
yes.
I'm sure you'll be a tremendous asset.
Yes, and one of the things that I like to share as well, Dr. Wilson, with you and the viewers, since I've been here, I've had an opportunity to take advantage of a program that the Army offered, and that I was able to get my master's degree at University of Louisville in higher education administration. So that's been a big highlight for me being here, because I was able to bring those skills that I learned out in Kentucky and bring them into the classroom here at Albany State, mm-hmm. Because it's a lot of things that you just don't realize. You kind of teach as you go, as an instructor from what you know. But one of the things that the military realized that we didn't do a great job in putting our cadre, is what they call us, mm-hmm. In those positions. Mm-hmm. So now they're doing a much better job in getting those personnel that in those positions, master's degrees, and really bringing those experiences into the classroom.
Great. So Yeah, again, adding to great possibilities
Yes.
with that experience and knowledge that you've gained throughout that. And that is an excellent program. A lot of military servicemen find themselves, once they make that transition, that it is a difficult transition.
Yes.
And then applying those skills to the civilian world. So them being intentional is to be commended. I'm curious, an individual on an international or national scale that you have great respect or admiration for, they can be military, non-military, that you find yourself just not necessarily patterning your life, but again, just the level of respect is very high. Who would that individual be?
I would say it's so many, but I would have to say my mother.
Oh, outstanding.
Yes, just because she's always been my mother and my wife have always been my largest supporters, and they know what the struggle that I've gone through, that I go back to I was running track in college and high school, and my mother's just always in my ear and telling me about the different things and how proud she is of me for my accomplishments. So that keeps me on the straight and narrow. And my wife just always been my my backbone, just supporting me to be able to go overseas and do the things that I've done and support me. And in all of those roles, it takes a lot, a strong woman to be able to do that. So she's always been there for me, those two women.
Excellent,
yes.
Excellent. Great choices. I'm sure you'll get some kudos for that. That's
yes.
wonderful. And it takes a toll on the entire family. Previous life, my ex-husband is a retired Marine Corps, and so we did a lot of traveling, and it's a wonderful experience, but it's a lot on the dependents.
Yes, it is.
Family. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm sure they have lots. Sometimes I'm sure your wife too, because I felt like this many times that she was in the Army or in the Marine Corps.
Right. Yes. And my wife, she surprised me a lot because she'll tell me, "Hey, this happened." And one of my good mentors had passed away, and I found out through my wife. She was on Facebook or something like that, and she just happened to mention his name. It was really ironic, and I was like, she was like, "Do you know this person?" I was like, "Yeah, that's my former, battalion commander. He made it up to 1-star general and just passed away of natural causes in Afghanistan." But it was just kind of put a damper on my day because he was one of my mentors as well.
I'm sure. Whitson, I know we have you for probably about another good month.
Yes.
And you've been here and again made an indelible mark on the institution and the area, your area of concern. Reflecting on your 3 years here, what is it that you hope that you have contributed in the role and the impact that you've had on the students that have come across your path?
So, sharing your experiences is really important with them. Some good and some bad. And just giving them a foundation and allowing them to know that it's certain mistakes that in the military that you cannot make, and some that you're going to grow. The military is going to allow you to make mistakes because we want you to grow, and we all are human. But I would say that coming from an HBCU, I've exposed them to a lot of different levels of leadership throughout the 3 years here, from 2-star generals all the way down to a junior enlisted, and that you can learn from anyone. Everybody has something to offer, and just being team players, just realizing that I share a lot of analogies with them. Be quick to listen and just slow to speak, and the military can take you a lot of places. We have so many generals and leadership, sergeant majors within our HBCUs, and we should be really proud, of your university, and give back. Always give back. I'm always teaching these and alumni we need your support, and just always give back.
Great. You reminded me, one of my favorite books is The Leadership Secrets of Colin Powell.
Yes.
And he shares the very same sentiment about before he begins to make, particularly when he was in that role and in dealing with servicemen and having to make major decisions, that he would always defer to them, those that reported to him for guidance and input. He said, they're on the front lines, they're doing the day-to-day operations. Why would I not engage them? So to your point of, you can learn across the spectrum, from those at the highest ranking order to at the very bottom. Everybody has something that is certainly worthwhile and worthy of hearing. You may not apply that, but just being able to tap into it and making sure that you're equipped with all of that information.
That's right.
Yeah, very good. Well, you will be sorely missed here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would like to share one thing
Absolutely.
with you before we get off. Is that our cadets here, so before I was here at the university, they're going to graduate, these 10 cadets will graduate with a minor in leadership. So that was another thing that I didn't mention earlier when you asked me about just what's so significant about this group. It's so many things, you know.
Sure.
And one of the things is that that I'm really proud of, that I can leave here with saying that they will graduate with a minor in military leadership, and that speaks volumes.
It does. It does. Even whatever your understanding or knowledge as it relates to leadership, it's critical. You may not ever take on a leadership role, but to understand the level of responsibility and how leadership and the teamwork and those that report to the leader, how that really works hand in glove.
Yes. And you know, Albany State, Fort Valley, a lot of people don't know this, but we're the leading HBCU in ROTC as far as numbers that we commission every year.
That's great.
Yes.
Well, now the world knows.
Yes.
Now the world knows. Thank you so much for all that you've done for, I'll speak on behalf of Fort Valley too, certainly Albany State University. I know that at times it was not an easy endeavor.
Right.
Whatever was going on behind the scenes that wasn't easy at the time, you never displayed that or demonstrated that. And not a knock or reflection to Albany State. Any organization, you're going to have challenges because you're dealing with variables beyond your control and just human beings, and so that can be unpredictable at times.
Exactly.
But you represented all of those organizations and certainly the Army in a stellar fashion, and so
thank you.
It's been a pleasure knowing you, working with you, and I know they are going to be elated to have you back in Raleigh, and certainly the contributions that you'll make in that role there.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for joining me on the show today.
You're
Continued
welcome.
success.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Viewers, thank you so much for joining me for this edition of Realizing Potential. I'm Wendy Wilson, and I will see you next time.